As you can see, it's boiling real good. Hello, welcome to Waypoint Survival. Today, I want to show you a twig stove that folds and fits inside of an Altoids tin. Stay tuned. Of course, you're going to need a full-size Altoids tin to get started on this project. And then an old cookie sheet. And these are a couple of test cuts down here. And up here at the top is where I cut out my 4 pieces. And so I just did that with a ruler, a Sharpie, and also using a Dremel cutoff wheel. So now that we have our 4 pieces all cut to size, and you want to make sure that you smooth down any of the rough edges on there, you're going to have to cut them to fit inside the tin. That's the biggest thing. You can mark around it with the Sharpie, but they need to fit inside the tin. Of course, there's a lot of room left over because they're very flat. And this is what it looks like, of course, all together. So each one of the pieces, there are 2 sides, and the 2 sides look like this. They each have slots in them. And then there's the front, which has the feeding hole, and then there's the rear piece with just a couple of air holes punched or drilled into it. Assembly is pretty simple. Just open up the Altoids tin. You find the one that goes in the back, and it has to be cut out a little extra because it's a double width and it goes over top of the lid here. So you want to just slide that down like this. And then of course the front with the large area for feeding it, it goes down like this. And then the sides are exactly the same, so it doesn't matter. And they fit in over top of these other slots on the side. Just like this. There's one, and then the other side the same way. Just fit it down over top of the slots like that, and they lock in place, and that's what the stove looks like. Just like that. It's pretty sturdy. We'll boil some water here in just a second. That's what it looks like. Alright, let's light a fire. Going to use a little bit of cotton ball fluffed up here. Just put it down inside, and then I also have a few small slivers of fat wood that we're going to use, and very, very simple, of course. You can just strike it inside. There we go. Get that going, and then we feed it the fat wood just like this. And once that gets going good, you don't have to use this much fat wood. I'm just trying to get it going quick for the camera. So there we go, and that's burning nice. Now we can add some twigs. I'm gonna put our little pot here on top, or can. And then we start feeding it some twigs. Now my experience, it takes about 10 to 12 minutes, depending on how hot the fire is to begin with, to really get the water boiling. But just feed it full of twigs and just let it do its thing. Alright, we'll get that boiling and we'll get back to you. That's what it looks like from the back. From the side. And there's the front where you feed it. And there we have our rolling boil with our handy little stove that fits inside of an Altoids tin with enough left over for a small Bic lighter or some matches, some fat wood, or even a small alcohol stove. Now maybe you say, hey, why didn't you show us how to build the whole thing instead of just showing the parts and pieces? Well, not everybody has a Dremel tool, and I found that if you use tin snips on it, it tends to really bend the metal badly, and it doesn't work quite as well. And so I wanted to show you this project because I think it's really neat, and I know a lot of you folks out there that watch my videos, you have the skills to make one of these. It's not expensive, an old tin and a small cookie sheet, and just measure it so that it fits inside, and then just cut out all the squares and drill a couple holes in the back. It's actually pretty simple. Of course, you want to deburr everything, make sure there's no sharp edges, but it works really good. I mean, fine little twig stove, and I came up with this after a fair amount of research. And I haven't seen anything like this. Most people, when they make twig stoves out of Altoids tins, they put little Chicago screws, tall Chicago pins rather, inside. And that works okay too. But I really like this design. It's small, it's compact, and it doesn't get soot and everything all over you and your gear. And when you're done, you fold it up, you put it all back together, and you're done. So yeah, it's a pretty simple little thing. So I appreciate you all watching, and we'll see you in the next video. This is James Bender for Waypoint Survival. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also make sure and check out the links in the description box below. And while you're down there, you'll find our Patreon link. This is where you can donate to financially support the channel, and you can do so for as little as $1 a month, and a big thank you to everybody that's been doing so. You'll also find our spring link. This is where you can buy great Waypoint Survival branded merchandise. You'll also find our waypointsurvival.com link, and this is where you can sign up for great survival and bushcraft training classes. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel. We'd really appreciate it. And when you do subscribe, make sure and press that bell button so that you can stay notified of all of our upcoming videos, and we'll talk to you next time.